Clark show, baby. She was pulling up from Baghdad. You like that? Talk about a Clark show. Talk about the best in the world, Craig. The best in the world, Craig. Caitlin Clark put the league on notice. I am on a mission to destroy all of y'all's asses, even if I got a $6.4 million center that can't make a damn layup, and I got another ball hogging, jacking up shot.
The undisputed greatest show in professional basketball just officially put the entire league on notice, and she was pulling up from absolutely deep Baghdad to do it. If you were watching the Indiana Fever pull off a desperate, nail-biting victory over the Connecticut Sun, you didn't see a cohesive championship roster executing a flawless game plan. You saw Caitlin Clark strap an entire, wildly incompetent organization to her back and single-handedly drag them across the finish line. Even with a highly paid center who literally cannot convert a point-blank layup, a shooting guard absolutely obsessed with jacking up heavily contested threes, and a head coach who actively refuses to make defensive adjustments, Clark proved she is completely unstoppable. We are going to break down the absolute masterclass she put on film, but we are also going to ruthlessly expose the players who are actively sabotaging this roster. Drop your most honest thoughts in the comments below, hit that subscribe button, and let's get right into the pure, unfiltered truth about the Indiana Fever. Before we even dive into the actual box score, we need to set the record entirely straight regarding the post-game narrative. I do not want to see any leaked footage of head coach Stephanie White giving a motivational locker room speech about the team coming together as a fist. I do not want to hear any PR spin about collective resilience. The only thing that should have been happening in that locker room is every single player, and the entire coaching staff, lining up to personally thank Caitlin Clark for saving their jobs for the third consecutive game. The brutal, undeniable reality that the mainstream media refuses to acknowledge is that the Indiana Fever are not a legitimate championship-caliber team. They have spent the last 3 games fighting absolute tooth and nail, barely squeaking out narrow victories against the Washington Mystics, the Chicago Sky, and the Connecticut Sun. These are teams that are literally sitting at the bottom of the standings, actively tanking for the Juju Watkins sweepstakes, and the Fever are struggling just to survive against them. It is highly alarming. If you want to understand exactly why this offense constantly looks like it is stuck in the mud, you have to look directly at the paint, because Aliyah Boston just put an incredibly embarrassing performance on film. Let's keep
two guard named Kelsey Mitchell that gonna shoot every single time, 2 of 9 from 3, just keep shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting. I got a sabotaging head coach. You can't stop me. Caitlin Clark put on an absolute show today. We got to get into it. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, hit that bell notification, hype the video. That'd be greatly appreciated. We got to get into things, man. Oh, man. Caitlin Clark did what she had to do. Y'all should be saying thank you. Stephanie White, let's get this very clear here for the post game, the locker room scrum and all of that.
Completely real. You are collecting a massive, multi-million-dollar salary to be the foundational anchor of this franchise, and you are actively missing point-blank layups. Yes, she grabbed 11 rebounds, but she shot an abysmal 5-4-13 from the floor, missing at least 7 wide-open shots within 4 feet of the rim. I don't care about the final point total when I am watching a professional center repeatedly fail to convert the easiest, highest percentage shots in the sport. The brutal truth is that Boston was completely outplayed and outworked in the post by Olivia Nelson-Ododa, and the lack of touch around the basket is becoming a massive liability for the entire offense. But you cannot place all the blame on Aliyah Boston without looking at exactly how the coaching staff has completely ruined her interior rhythm. When Boston and Clark first teamed up, they possessed a terrifying, highly lethal, short pick-and-roll synergy. Boston had elite touch around the basket and devastating footwork. But under Stephanie White's chaotic offensive system, Boston has been inexplicably pushed out to the perimeter, constantly hovering around the three-point line. By abandoning her natural identity in the paint to fit a broken system, she has completely lost her touch at the rim. When she actually does get the ball down low, it looks rushed, panicked, and entirely out of rhythm. The coaching staff has actively regressed the development of their franchise center, and it was painful to watch her vomit all over herself in the second half of this game. And while the frontcourt was struggling to make layups, the backcourt was dealing with the absolute tunnel vision of Kelsey Mitchell. Mitchell finished the game shooting 6-for-15 from the floor and an incredibly frustrating 2-for-9 from three-point range. I understand that Mitchell is wired to be a pure scorer, and I know she desperately wants to hit that 20-point benchmark every single night, but there has to be a limit. You have to recognize when your shot isn't falling and stop stubbornly jacking up contested transition threes. The endless cycle of dribbling the air out of the basketball and forcing up low-percentage shots is actively killing the offensive momentum. When you share the backcourt with the greatest playmaker on the planet, you have to learn how to play within the flow of the offense, rather than treating every possession like a personal.
I don't want to hear nothing about no fist. We're coming together. I don't want to hear nothing about none of that. Y'all got y'all asses bailed out by Caitlin Clark all damn game. And then Sophie, the trophy, the blonde bomber, 1/3 of Tres Leches. Sophie Cunningham comes on in the last 3 minutes, goes on an 11-0 run to close the goddamn show. Sophie, the blonde bomber, went on an 11-0 run late in the fourth quarter to close the show on the Connecticut Sun. Shout out to my bro Angry Fan Sports. I tried to tell
Showcase. Thank God for Sophie Cunningham, because outside of Caitlin Clark, the blonde bomber was the only player who actually decided to show up when the game was on the line. In the final 3 minutes of the fourth quarter, when the offense was stagnating and the Connecticut Sun were threatening to completely steal the game, Cunningham absolutely caught fire. She went on a completely solo 11-0 run to slam the door shut, hitting massive, clutch shots to close out the show. Cunningham proved exactly why she is the most vital secondary piece on this roster. When the pressure peaks and the rest of the supporting cast starts airballing layups and missing defensive assignments, she is the only one not afraid of the moment. But the ultimate reality of this game, and the ultimate reality of this entire season, is that the Caitlin Clark show is the only thing keeping this franchise relevant. Clark put on an absolute masterclass, finishing with 25 points, shooting 10-for-17 from the floor, and knocking down 5 massive three-pointers. She officially put Brittany Griner on skates, finishing an incredibly difficult layup through traffic, and spent the entire afternoon manipulating the defense like a seasoned grandmaster. Yes, she had 6 turnovers, but if Aliyah Boston, Monique Billings, and Lexi Hull had actually converted the wide-open layups Clark spoon-fed them all afternoon, she would have easily walked away with a staggering 15 assists. She is completely unguardable, and she proved once again that she should be taking the vast majority of the shots on this roster. The Indiana Fever managed to escape with a victory, but the warning signs are flashing bright red. Stephanie White made absolutely zero defensive adjustments to stop the bleeding in the paint, and the lack of preparation is glaring. If this organization wants to actually compete with the upper echelon of the WNBA, they need to stop prioritizing PR-friendly puppy practices and half-court shooting games for the cameras, and start running actual, disciplined defensive drills. This team is fundamentally broken, and the only viable strategy moving forward is incredibly simple: put the ball in Caitlin Clark's hands on every single possession, clear out of her way, and pray she can outscore the absolute incompetence surrounding her.